I just moved to a new building a couple of months ago, and it's an older building where there's people that have lived there for like 40-50 years, and I'm like 95% sure my next door neighbor is a vampire. For one thing, he's at least 190 years old. Like, some people are old enough you could tell they fought in Vietnam. This guy's old enough you could tell he fought in the War of 1812. And the only time I've ever seen him is when he pops his head out to check if anyone's actually waiting for the elevator, and if they are, he just slinks back into the darkness of his apartment. Only time I've ever heard him make noise, like on the other side of my wall, was when I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think he was actually scared and having a meltdown. He could just be a very shy old man, or living in New York City for over 75 years just turns you into Nosferatu.
Tell me a story about a time that you know that you saw something, but you don't ever tell this story because you know that no one would ever believe you. I don't think I've ever told this story before because I would sound like an insane person, but I know it happened. I want to be creeped out. I just watched the video of the girl, the Lyft driver in New Orleans, who says she picked up a vampire. I want more stories like that, but I'll tell you mine. When I was 7, my family was living in a suburb of Chicago about 30 minutes southwest of the city. My parents were out. They went bowling every Friday night, so I know it was a Friday. Our babysitter, Maria, was over. She was a teenager, probably 16, 17 at the time, and my little sister was about 2. We lived in a split level, so my sister and Maria are downstairs, and I'm in the kitchen. I was looking out the back window, honestly probably waiting for our little neighbor boy to come outside because I had a crush on him, and I was always running outside whenever I saw he would come out. But in our backyard, there was an apple tree, there was a lake, and then there was a fence separating our yard from the neighbor boy's house. It's dusk. The sun is pretty much set, and I see a black panther jump over the fence and come down, stand underneath the apple tree. It was so tall that its shoulders almost came up to the first set of branches. Jet black fur. And we had a house cat, so I know what the house cat size is in relation to this thing. This thing was easily 6 or 7 times the size of our cat. So I start calling for Maria, yelling at her to come up to the kitchen to see this black panther in our backyard. She was taking her time. My sister was crying and she was tending to her. I'm standing there mesmerized by this black panther, and it turns and it looks at me and it makes eye contact. And on its head, this thing was jet black, but on its head, it had a little patch of white fur just going right like this. And we just stare at each other for a good 5 seconds or so. I hear Maria stirring. She's coming into the kitchen, and as she's walking into the kitchen, the panther runs into the lake. I was like, there was a panther in our backyard. Maria's like, it was just a house cat. I'm like, no, it was a panther. Fast forward to later on that night, my parents still aren't home. I'm in bed. I hear our doorbell. It's probably close to 11 o'clock because my parents were still out. They usually came home around 1 in the morning. So naturally, I hear the doorbell ring. I get out of bed. I go to the top of the stairs and I see Maria answering the door. And I'm creeping on the stairs, and she lets this man in, and he's wearing all black. He was very pale. And I hear him tell her basically that he was a traveler who lost his way and he needed to use our phone. It was the 90s, so people didn't have cell phones easily accessible, so he just wanted to use our landline. So Maria lets him in. He's using the phone. It's very muffled. I can't hear what he's saying. I remember the conversation, but I don't. That's where mine and this girl's stories are similar. So after he makes his phone call, he's turning to leave. He walks past the stairs. He looks up at me because I'm still sitting at the top of it, and I see on his head he has a little patch of white hair in the same spot that the panther had. And he looks at Maria and he goes, "Thank you for your help. It's really easy to get lost in the shadows." And he leaves. Now this man shook me. I could not sleep that night. So when my parents got home, I was still awake in bed. I ran downstairs. I told them all about the panther. They chalked it up to an overactive imagination, and they were like, it was just a house cat. You're just letting your imagination get the best of you. And I told them about the man. They were pissed. They were fuming. They fired Maria for letting a strange man into our house, as they should have. But yeah, I don't know. I've looked into it. There have been tons of Black Panther sightings all over Illinois, close to Chicago, and yet the Department of Natural Resources maintains that there are no Black Panthers in Illinois. So yeah, stitch this or let me know in the comments your story, because I know I'm not the only one.
Vampires? Y'all want to talk about vampires? Okay. So I don't normally do talking videos because number one, I think I'm annoying, and number two, I am a real life yapper. So if I start, who knows where this is gonna go. But I've been seeing everybody getting on here and talking about their real life vampire stories, and so I wanted to share mine. So I'm in a PhD program, but in order to be able to afford life, I bartend. And I bartend in rural West Georgia, to set the scene, 30-45 minutes from Alabama. Rural. And I work at this small bar. I like to say it's a step above a dive bar. It's not a dive, but it's not a chain. It's not fancy, so I like to say it's a step above a dive bar. And most of my guests are regulars. So I have regulars that come into the bar every single day. I know they're going to be there. I know what time they're going to be there. I know what they're going to drink. And maybe there's like 3 or 4 new people on the bar side. The restaurant side is different, but on the bar side, like maybe like 3 new people a day, if that. Okay, so this is the middle of the week, maybe 3 or 4 p.m. It's dead. I mean, I think I have like 3 other people sitting at the bar. And this person walks in and they sit down at the bar. Okay, so I'll describe the person and I'll describe their demeanor as well. And then, like, I'll give some details to what sort of made me believe that this person is a vampire. So, first of all, you know the trope of, like, vampires have really pale skin? Opposite of that. Okay, complete opposite of that. This person had, like, a, like, beautiful, dark skin. Like, probably the darkest skin I've ever seen in person. Darkest skin I've ever seen outside of, like, editorial fashion magazines, you know? So really dark, beautiful skin. It just looked smooth. Like, there were no pores on this person. I'm saying this person because to me they were male presenting. I don't know. But so he had blue eyes, like neon blue almost. So I was immediately I saw this person and I was like, these are either contacts or you're a vampire. I mean, this was an unnatural color for somebody to have for their eyes. They were also wearing, I want to call it a frock. I mean, it was like a high-necked black shirt with long sleeves. And this is like middle of the summer, so people don't wear that in Georgia. So it was a very strange gear that they were wearing. And then it was the demeanor. So the demeanor was like, okay, like looking around, like, what is this place? Like they were trying to understand the culture that was going on. And so you might be asking yourself, like, Jess, could this person have been a thespian? Could they have been, was he a man of the theater? Possibly. But again, we are in West Georgia. So, I mean, like, local community theater at best. And that's no shade to community theater. But this man was, like, if this person were an actor, they are method. Like, he did not break. His characteristics were very specific. Okay, so he spoke very little. And then we only have 8. Sorry, I'm gonna pause. Okay, I'm not used to like holding and recording this because I never do this. But we only have about 8 beers on tap. Okay, and one of them is a Yingling. So he ordered a Yingling, and I'm already thinking like this could be a vampire. And what's interesting about Yinglings, I drink Yingling, I drink ambers and red ales. I like beers that are that color, that coppery color, and they have that coppery taste. And I like to tell people, I like beers that taste like a penny. What's interesting is, you know, if you've ever tasted blood before, if you've had like a cut or something, okay, blood tastes like a penny. Blood tastes coppery. There's a coppery taste to blood. So I was automatically like, okay, evidence, you're a vampire. So he ordered a Yingling. He sipped it, and then he acted like it was palatable. Not that he was like enjoying it, but that like it will do. He did not want a food menu. And then let's see. Okay, this is where it got weird. Was I'm already in my head like, first of all, okay, let me pause. Something about me, I am a skeptic who wants to believe. So I'm open to your conspiracy theories. I'm open, like I'm the mythical creatures. Sure, yeah, they're out there, but I need proof. I need evidence. So I'm willing to go on this ride with you, but you're gonna have to give me something. So I'm already like looking for evidence to prove to myself, okay, this is a vampire. And I have really bad hand eczema. So like, I don't know, can't really see right now, but like I get like open cuts. Sometimes they bleed. So on his second Yingling, I notice like I'm bleeding, and I have his little pint glass in my hand, and I hand it to him, and I Like, I hesitate. Like, I don't want to like trigger you. If you're a natural born hunter, you're a predator, you're gonna lunge at me right now. No. So I like hesitated and then gave him the beer. So he laughed, but not with his mouth. Like I heard it in my brain, like a thought. Like I heard him laughing in my head, like I was recalling a memory of someone laughing. I didn't hear it like an auditory response to something. Okay? And then, I mean, that was pretty much my only bit of evidence that I had, but yeah, he just seemed like he had great disdain for everyone around him. Which, you know, it's rural West Georgia. If those ain't your people, them not your people. But he just seemed like he was either a vampire or he was like from London, you know? Like, I'm just better than you was the vibe. He only had the 2 beers. He didn't eat anything. And so the total was probably like $9 something. And then I think he left 40. So really good tip. Never saw him again. Haven't seen him since. I don't even know if anybody would remember him if I brought him up. But that's my vampire story.